Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. Your sister and host Sidrami is here today to present the story of an American sister's journey to Islam. Today, we bring you the story of an American sister who accepted Islam. Although she currently lives in the United States, her roots trace back to Colombia, and she comes from a Catholic family. This sister's father was a major drug dealer and was involved in running a criminal gang, while her mother struggled and died with drug addiction. So, come with us as we listen to this sister's story, how she emerged from such an environment, how she embraced Islam, and what her life has been like after accepting Islam.
Aslamu alaykum. I was born into a Christian family, and my entire family practiced Catholicism in such a strict way that it felt as if no other religion even existed in the world. It was as if there were only two options: either do not practice religion at all and live a completely free life, or if you are going to follow a religion, then it must be Catholicism and nothing else. My journey to Islam began when I became friends with a Muslim woman. At that time, my life was full of confusion. After my divorce, I was raising my children on my own and was going through severe mental and emotional distress. During that period, my Muslim friend suggested that I go to the mosque. She told me that I needed inner peace and that the environment of the mosque would be the best form of mental therapy for me. I used to spend time with many people who were Muslim. Although they were not very practicing or religious and did not really live according to Islamic teachings, they were still Muslim. That was the first group through which I was introduced to Islam. However, their friendship did not have much impact on me until I met a sister named Hania. Then, Alhamdulillah, I met Sister Hania, who is still very close and dear to me today. She was the one who truly started taking me to the mosque, Alhamdulillah. But the real reason I turned toward Islam was not Hania herself, it was the inner turmoil within me. In reality, the desire to accept Islam grew in my heart because I wanted something better for my children. I was searching for a better life for them because my own life was very disorganized, and I did not want to pass that same chaotic life on to the next generation. I come from a household where my mother was addicted to drugs and my father was involved in the Colombian drug cartel. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison for drug smuggling, and my mother passed away due to a heroin overdose. My lifestyle had also begun to resemble theirs. Overwhelmed by depression and a difficult life, I occasionally started using drugs as well. In other words, I was heading down the same path, but I did not want to leave my children the way my mother left us. When I reflected on this, it pushed me to search for a better, more spiritual life. I felt that spirituality and a strong connection with God were the only things that could give me a morally sound and stable life. When I spent time with Muslims, they told me that being Muslim simply means believing in one God, and that idea really appealed to me. I did not need idols, just one God. That curiosity is where everything began. When I went to the mosque for the first time, the atmosphere felt as if I had come into God's embrace. From there, my journey of learning about Islam began, and after about 7 to 8 months, I accepted Islam. Alhamdulillah.
Do you remember your first Ramadan?
Yes, my first Ramadan began about 2 months after I accepted Islam. That first Ramadan was extremely difficult for me. I was new to Islam and didn't have many Muslim sisters to share iftars or other Ramadan activities with. It was also my first year wearing hijab, and it was summertime, so the days were very long. I come from a family where food is extremely important. Every gathering in our family ends around a long, full dining table. We always prepared large meals, and I still had to cook for my children because they were not fasting. All of this made it very challenging, especially the thirst. But Alhamdulillah, when you remain patient, it gradually becomes easier. The beautiful part was the sense of peace and happiness you feel when you break your fast, knowing that you completed this act of worship. What helped me the most was that, because I was regularly going to the mosque during that same Ramadan, I connected with many other Muslim sisters. I began spending time with them, calling one another, checking in on each other. Slowly, those mutual bonds became a great source of support.
What do you love most about Islam?
What I love most about Islam is my Muslim sisters, and also Allah's promise that in the end everything will be better, because no one lives in this world forever. I love my Muslim sisters because they are closer to me than my own blood sisters. Even before becoming Muslim, the relationship I had with my biological sisters cannot compare to the bond I now have with my sisters in Islam. This is true for every Muslim woman I know, whether she is born Muslim or a convert. These are not friendships like the ones you make at a bar, where people are only together while drinking. These sisters stand by you in good times and bad, in beautiful moments and in hardship. Even though they are not related to me by blood, they are closer to my children and to me, closer even than my own family. Alhamdulillah, my favorite part of Islam is definitely my Muslim sisters.
How did your family react to your change?
My family did not react positively to me becoming Muslim. It wasn't so much that I mentioned Allah's name or that I left Christianity to become Muslim, because they were not very practicing Catholics. They didn't regularly attend church, only occasionally on special occasions. The real issue for them was my clothing and the changes I made in my lifestyle. I was no longer the Natalie who walked into parties with Corona beers saying, "Let's party." Now I was Natalie who said, "Assalamu alaikum, how are you?" They couldn't understand why I didn't want to attend barbecues because there was pork, or why I didn't go to gatherings where alcohol was being consumed. They didn't understand why I no longer celebrated non-Islamic holidays, and they couldn't comprehend how a girl who loved 6-inch heels, short dresses, hair extensions, eyelashes, and nails could suddenly change like this. One Christmas, when I went to visit them, they literally shut the door in my face. They didn't recognize me anymore. My cousin looked at me in shock and said, "What is this? You can't attend like this. Go back." At first, their reaction was very harsh, but Alhamdulillah, with time, they began to accept it. This is a phase that many new Muslims have to go through. If you remain firm and patient, eventually they come around. I compared my clothing to that of the Virgin Mary and said, "You pray to her, and it's acceptable for her to dress modestly. You consider her the greatest woman on earth. So why don't you want me to dress like her?" That silenced them. Later, they reflected and realized that if Islam meant I wasn't leaving the house drunk, or calling them because I had crashed my car while intoxicated, then they preferred me this way. When they began to see the positive impact of Islam on my life, their hearts softened. Although my younger sister still does not speak to me, Alhamdulillah, overall, my family has accepted my choice.
Finally, what advice would you give to other Latina women who are searching for the truth?
My advice is this: when you read the Quran, don't just read it, reflect on it. Especially for Latina women, like in my country Colombia, physical appearance is given great importance. Loose hair, makeup, our entire society revolves around how a woman looks. This is the hardest part. I know many Latina women say, No, I'm not going to wear a scarf on my head. I'm not going to walk around like that. But you have to understand that you are far more valuable than how you look. The person who looks at you should see something deeper in you. You need to realize that you are striving for something better in the end. For sisters who are searching for Islam, my advice is simply to read the Quran with an open heart and understand that it is beautiful. Every single word is beautiful. Every word carries deep meaning and truth. And if you find even one thing in the Quran that you believe is not true, then close the book and do not open it again.